Honor, page 1, City versus Brandon, Ajezian, 25 CR 6931, 6932.
Your Honor, he refused to come to the bail hearing. We're asking to continue this until Monday with the arraignment.
And I do find his absence is good cause to continue the bail hearing to Monday.
Monday, October 6th, 3 p.m., Department 2, City versus Andrea Bergquist, 25 CR 6930.
Andrea?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your charge of violating a protective order. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the charge is violation of temporary protective order. Defendant has no record that I can see. She went to the victim's home. She was knocking on doors and windows and going around the side of the home. The NPR is a 2. She might be a candidate for an OR if it weren't for the fact that she apparently has pending cases in D1 as shown by the calendar. So based on that, I'm going to ask for standard bail, cash or bond, plus a no contact with the named victim, stay away order from the address, which is 1154 Paradise Safari Drive, which I believe is a residence. And then no further arrests or citations.
Ms. Purser.
Yes, Your Honor, there is an update to the risk assessment in that she is employed. She's a social worker. She's currently applied for disability, but is a stay-at-home parent also. So that would bring the risk assessment to a 1. So she is asking for an OR at this time, and she has no problems for conditions of release, the no contact. She has a place to stay, and she's giving me the name of that individual.
Thank you. All right, ma'am, the fact that you were cited or arrested on September 20th and apparently charged with trespassing and disorderly conduct, and you're set to be arraigned on those charges on October 21st, and in the meantime have been arrested on this current charge, that is certainly concerning to the court. And so for that reason, ma'am, I am finding that there's clear and convincing evidence that bail is the least restrictive means to ensure the safety of the community. And so I'm going to require bail. It would be $1,000 cash or surety, and there are conditions of release. There are 3 of them. And so the first is to have no contact with the named victim. That means no contact whatsoever. Do you have any questions about that order, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, I do need to admonish you that any violation of the no contact order may result in a new misdemeanor charge, modification or addition of a new condition of release, revocation of bail and remand to custody, or the imposition of any other penalty prescribed by law. The second condition of release is to stay away from the residence at the address noted for the record previously. And the third is to have no further arrests or citations. And we will see you for your arraignment on Monday, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Yes.
my cell phone and other items are at that location. When I do get released, what is the proper procedure to do that? Because I called the numbers.
So if you have property there, ma'am, you would have an opportunity to use a civil standby. That's a one-time opportunity to contact Henderson Police Department and arrange with them at their convenience when they can meet you there. And of course, you would not go to that address until you know that the police are there first.
That's where I messed up.
Okay.
Thank you.
So October 6th, 1:30, Department 1. City versus Andrew Carlisle, 25 CR 6963.
Good afternoon, sir. This is the time set for the bail hearing on the charge of wrongfully possessing a shopping cart. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Judge, after reviewing this case, I'm just going to end up asking to NCF it.
Taxpayer money.
All right, sir. So the prosecution's elected not to file charges at this time, and so you'll be released on your own recognizance, okay?
Thank you, sir.
City versus Nevaeh Chavez, 25 CR 6958.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is the time set for the bail hearing on your charge of driving under the influence. And Mr. Osmond, is this one the city is going to be asking for time on?
It is, Judge. We're going to ask for a continuance of 16 weeks for the blood results.
All right, so Ms. Chavez, the prosecution has up to a year to file a complaint. We're going to give you a new court date in about 16 weeks. That's for a status check on whether a complaint has been filed. And you'll be released on your own recognizance. In the meantime, just be back to court on this next date, okay?
Your Honor, we can do Monday, February 2nd, 2026, 9 a.m. Department 3. City versus Raymundo Duque, 25 CR 6950-951.
Your Honor, he refused to come to court if we continue this with Mr. Raymond on Monday.
Yes, and I do find his absence is good cause to continue the bail hearing to Monday.
I'm sorry, Judge, no change. Everything stands.
Yes.
Your Honor, we can continue to Monday, October 6th, 1:30, Department 1. City versus Javier S. Carcega Sabreros, 25 CR 6926.
Your Honor, also not in court, asking to continue until Monday.
I find his absence is good cause to continue the bail hearing.
Monday, October 6th, 3 p.m., Department 2. City versus Alexis Fagan, 25 CR 6939, 6937.
She was there.
She's coming up.
Hi.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is the time set for the bail hearing on your charges of engage in lewd or dissolute conduct in a public place, as well as pedestrian failing to use a sidewalk where provided. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Rather than go into the specifics, I'm going to ask the court to incorporate the police report by reference, assuming that there's no objection from the defense. It looks like she has 6 prior entries in scope, 7 total charges. There are multiple prior arrests for the gross misdemeanor version of this charge, of the first charge. Many of those were denied, but one of them was a plea to this same count, lewd or dissolute. And my guess is that the others were denied because the gross misdemeanor version has some specifics of what has to be occurring in the case, and so that they probably will. My guess is that potentially they were the same type of thing, and they should have been charged as a misdemeanor, and so instead of charging it as a misdemeanor, they were just denied. But regardless, defendant is a 9 on the NPR. Does have 19 cycles out of California, the most recent one being in 2025. There are some recent cycles in the last few years for things like theft, drugs, disorderly conduct. And those aren't necessarily convictions, but they are cycles, they're entries. So based on that, I think bail is appropriate. Of course, I'm going to ask for no further arrest citations. I'm also going to ask for 1140 for the first count, and then 640 for the second count, cash or bond.
Thank you. And Ms. Purser.
Yes, Your Honor. So she is indigent, asking for a reasonable bail to be set.
All right, ma'am, given the pretrial risk assessment score as well as your relevant criminal history and what appears to be lack of ties to the community with your recent record out of California and apparent lack of residence here locally. I'm finding that there is clear and convincing evidence, ma'am, that bail is the least restrictive means, both to secure your presence at future court dates as well as for the safety of the community. And so I'm going to require bail. It's going to be $640 cash or bond on each of the charges. And there is a condition of release. Should you post that bail, it's going to be to have no further arrests or citations. And we will see you back for your arraignment on Monday, ma'am.
Thank you. Monday, October 6th, 3 p.m., Department 2. City versus Amos Foster, 25 CR 6962.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on the charge of trespass. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this was a trespass at the Ross on 3491 St. Rose Parkway. So I'm, of course, going to ask for a stay-away order from that. No further arrest or citations. Defendant is a 6 on the NPR with an upgrade to high for the transient override. And then in 2025, just to note, he has arrests for injured tamper vehicle, the gross misdemeanor version, and trespass with unknown dispositions. He has a couple of older cycles out of California as well through 2000, so those are older. I'm just going to ask for, based on that, I'm going to ask for standard bail, cash, or bond, plus those conditions of release.
Thank you. Ms. Purser.
Your Honor, after speaking with him, it sounds like he does have a residence here with his mother. He gave me the address, so he wouldn't, I believe, be considered transient, bringing his assessment to, a 2204. So we're asking for an OR reduction of bail based upon that, but he is indigent also.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Foster, given that history, I'm going to make the finding that bail is the least restrictive means to ensure for the safety of the community. I am going to require bail. It's $640 cash or surety. And I'm going to impose the conditions of release that were requested. So there are two. The first is that you stay away from the Ross at the address noted previously for the record. The second is to have no further arrests or citations. And we will see you for your arraignment on Monday, sir.
Monday, October 6th, 1:30, Department 3.
Okay, thank you. Happy holidays.
City versus Joshua Gansey, 25 CR 6954 952.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your traffic charges. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the end of the day, this is traffic. Reviewing it, I'm just going to ask for no further arrests or citations.
Ms. Purser, anything to add?
No,
Right, sir. So I'm going to release you on your own recognizance on these traffic charges with a condition of release to have no further arrests or citations.
All
And
right,
we
I
will see you
appreciate
back
it.
for your, I'm sorry?
No, I said I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you back for your arraignment on Monday, sir.
Okay, one more thing. So I have another traffic ticket over at CCDC. That's a warrant. So they're gonna transfer me over there tonight, I guess. Will I be able to make it back here by Monday? You get what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, there's no way to know that, sir. Just
Okay,
depends
so
on, like you said, how quickly they get you there and how quickly you're seen and if you're released right away.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much the exact same charge. It's just a traffic. Unfortunately, my dad, his car, he doesn't have it registered yet, and I was caught driving it twice.
Okay. Madam Clerk,
Right.
let's just set them out for a week from Monday then.
Oh, wait, for Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Judge, let's do, Your Honor, we can do Monday, October 13th, 9 a.m. Department 3.
That was 9 a.m., Madam Clerk.
Correct. He's given an OR, correct, Judge?
Yes.
So on the 9 o'clock, or you want to put it on the vacancy?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Did you hear that, Mr. Osmond?
I did. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You bet. City versus Sean Gibson, 25 CR 6955 956.
Your Honor, he refused to come to the bail hearing, asked to continue this with his arraignment on Monday.
Thank you, and I do find his absence is good cause to continue the bail hearing to Monday.
October 6th, 1:30, Department 1. City versus Darren, Gossage, 25 CR 6925, 927.
Your Honor, he is refused to come to the bail hearing, asked to continue this bail hearing with his arraignment on Monday.
Actually, Judge, I've reviewed this case. I'm going to ask to NCF it.
All right, with no charges filed, he will be released on his own recognizance. Yes.
City versus Edward Jones, 25 CR 6929, 928.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your charges of camping and drug paraphernalia possession. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Judge. I've also reviewed this one, and I'm going to ask to NCF this one as well.
All right, Mr. Jones, with the expectation that no charges are going to be filed at this time, you will be released on these charges on your own recognizance, okay?
Thank you, sir.
City versus Zachary, Ketchmark, 25 CR 6947, 949, 946, 48, 344.
How are you doing, Your Honor?
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your trespass charges, as well as the resisting charge and possession of drug and drug paraphernalia charges. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So there's a little bit kind of going on this one. So this whole started when there were reports the defendant had been looking into vehicles and trash cans. Police were looking for him, found him in a wash, which obviously you're not allowed to go into. And then when they attempted to stop him, he ended up running and went into, I believe, 3 backyards, at least 2, well, no, 3 backyards, because that's the 3 trespass counts. 3 backyards to run from police. He claimed that he had run and then ultimately resisted because he had, he said, dope in the police report. He did, in fact, have meth on him. However, it turns out that the defendant has a Henderson Justice Court case. It looks like it's dated October 3rd, so the same day as this incident, for burglary of motor vehicle and grand larceny of motor vehicle. No complaint filed yet. So I'm not sure exactly the timing on that, but it would, since he was arrested on this case, it would have had to have been obviously earlier in the day. So I'm thinking potentially there could have been a basis to arrest him on those charges from earlier in the day. Maybe they didn't catch him in time or something like that until he was arrested here in book. I don't ultimately know yet, but I'm just putting the pieces together that I can find. However, he has an additional case where the NPR says he's a 9, but then it gives him 0 points for a pending pretrial case at booking. But then the second page references that CRN case number. So it turns out that case is in North Las Vegas Justice Court, and he's had several failures to appear during that case. And have the printout. So his original failure to appear warrant was in September of 2024. He was arrested on that in April of this year. He was released again on an OR with PCU, which it says PCU 4. I believe that's house arrest or something akin to house arrest. In any event, by May 5th, there's an entry that says it's a PCU absconded hearing. And then on that date, it says the defendant received a bench warrant on that date and is currently, from what I can tell, still in bench warrant status on that case. Overall, he has several failures to appear as well. He has the one that I mentioned in April of this year from that case. But before that, he has failure to appear arrests in 2022, 2019, 2018, and 2016. In terms of his criminal history, he has 18 entries in scope, 39 total charges. Relevant recent convictions are 2025, a conviction for ITS and drug paraphernalia, and then 2021 for drug paraphernalia. So I think the city has justified concerns on this case. I'm just going to ask, since there's multiple charges, what I'm going to ask for is standard bail, cash only on each count, no further arrests or citations, and abstaining, and then a stay away order from all three of the locations. And these are the same street name, which is Verde, Verde, Triandos, Triandos Drive. And the addresses would be 1468, 1466, and 1464, all from that address.
Ms. Purser.
Yes, Your Honor. So there is an update on our end also, in that he is self-employed and he does trash removal, and he has a residence. He does reside with his uncle in North Las Vegas at the My Place Hotel, who's the hotel. Sounds like it's a hotel, but the uncle has been living there consistently for 2 years. So we wanted the court to have that update. And he is indigent and asking for a reasonable bail to be set.
All right, sir. Given that history, especially the history of failures to appear, and some of those do fall outside of the 2-year window that is most often referenced in a bail hearing like this. And so I don't give those other failures to appear that were noted the same weight I would otherwise, but I do give them some weight. And the fact that you do have another case pending at the time you picked up these charges, particularly of concern, and your pretrial risk assessment score as well. And so, sir, I am finding that there is clear and convincing evidence that bail is the least restrictive means, both to secure your presence at future court dates as well as for the safety of the community. It will be standard bail, but that's going to be cash only on each of the counts with the conditions of release that were requested. So there are 3. The first is to abstain, and that means no use or possession of alcohol and all controlled substances, which includes marijuana unless you have a valid medical marijuana card. The second is to stay away from the 3 addresses that were noted previously for the record. The third is to have no further arrests or citations. And sir, we will see you for your arraignment on Monday, okay?
Thank you, sir.
October 6th, 3 p.m., Department 2. And judges, 640 cash on each.
Yes.
Thank you. City versus Victor Macias, 25 CR 6940941.
Good afternoon, sir.
Your Honor.
The time set for the bail hearing on your drinking an alcoholic beverage in public, as well as resisting a public officer charges. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So defendant is an 8 on the NPR. His history involves some similar charges and convictions. 2024, he has convictions for drinking in public, and then separately resisting a police officer, disorderly conduct, and battery. All appears to be the same case. 2020, he was arrested for provoking breach of peace. 2019, he was arrested for drinking in public, and then a conviction same year for DUI. He has a few cycles out of New Mexico, but those are older. They're through 2012, and then even older cycles out of California. The case is unusual. I believe Your Honor also did the PC review on this case. So you've read the police report, but in essence, the defendant threw a brick at the victim's windshield. Victim, for whatever reason, didn't want to press charges for that specifically, but he wanted the defendant trespass from the property, from the building. And then when the officers approached him, and then he was going to be arrested for the drinking in public, he was he was read the trespass warning and just sort of started screaming and basically flipped out and pushed his head against the patrol vehicle door. And I think it also said his foot, but at least his head against the patrol vehicle door, and to keep it from closing, and the officers weren't able to close it until they moved him inside. So I have concerns regarding the defendant's priors and just the defendant's conduct during this case. This one is more so, I think, of a concern for recidivism and safety of the community. But he is, like I said, he is an 8 on the NPR. My request is going to be standard on the drinking in public, but on the resisting, I have more concerns, and I'd ask for 1,000 cash, and then no further citations, stay away order, and then abstaining.
Thank you. Ms. Purser.
Yes, so there is an update also on his risk assessment, and that he has worked full-time for Laborman and construction. So we're bringing that 8 to a 7. But he is also indigent and asking for a reasonable bail based upon that.
Thank you. All right, sir, given that history and your pre-trial risk assessment score, most prominently the score of 2 for substance use in the past 10 years, prior multiple arrests for drug use, possession of alcohol, drunkenness. And so, sir, I find that there is clear and convincing evidence that bail is the least restrictive means to secure the safety of the community and the individual that was involved in this particular incident. And so I'm going to require bail, and it's going to be $640 cash only on each of the charges with the conditions of release that were requested. So there are 3. The first is to abstain, meaning no use or possession of drugs or alcohol. And that does include marijuana unless you have a valid medical marijuana card. The second is to stay away from the, actually, let me get that address from you, Mr. Osmond.
Yes, it is 2800 North Green Valley Parkway.
All right, sir, so you're ordered as a condition of release to stay away from that address. And third is to have no further arrests or citations. And so, sir, we're going to see you back for your arraignment on Monday, okay?
October 6th, 1:30, Department 3. City versus Kevin Mock, 35 CR 6921.
Good afternoon, sir. This is the time set for the bail hearing on your suspended driver's license charge. And we're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Ott.
So, Judge, this is traffic. Ultimately, the city's going to submit on it, Judge. He does have a North Las Vegas Justice Court warrant, so he may be transported there, but...
All right. Ms. Purser, anything to
I'm
add?
sorry, with no further arrest or citations, though.
Thank you.
So just the update in that he is employed and is an iron worker, but we'll submit.
All right, thank you. All right, sir, so you're going to be released on your own recognizance on this charge. As was noted, it appears you have a hold or multiple holds, so you'll probably be transported to a different jurisdiction.
Okay.
I am going to add a condition of release for your OR release. That's to have no further arrests or citations. Madam Clerk, with the holds, let's push the arraignment out 1 week.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Your Honor, we can do Monday, October 13th, 1:30. Mr. Osmond, 1:30 on this one.
Thank you.
Department 1. Sorry, I screwed up the first one. I made a mistake. Thank you. City versus Michael Minter, 25 CR 6966 6765.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your camping, urinating or defecating in a public place, as well as drug paraphernalia charges. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we anticipate filing charges only on the camping and the drug paraphernalia, so I'm just going to address those. And then the third charge, obviously, we can do an OR with the expectation that that one isn't getting filed. Defendant is a 6 on the NPR, upgraded for the transient override. He has prior failures to appear, 2022, 2019, 2018. He has a recent conviction in 2021 for trespass, and then several other trespass arrests around that time that don't have a disposition, don't appear to be any confirmed convictions other than the one that I mentioned, at least not from the records that I was looking at. That being said, he does have the prior for the trespass. I am going to ask, based on the circumstances, for standard bail on each of those 2 counts, plus no further arrest citations, and a stay away order from the Wahoos at 76 West Horizon Ridge Parkway.
Ms. Purser.
Yes, Your Honor. So he is currently unhoused and therefore indigent and asking for a reasonable bail to be set with regards to that status.
All right, sir, given that history, I am making the finding that there is clear and convincing evidence that bail is the least restrictive means, both to secure your presence at future court dates as well as for the safety of the community. And so I will require bail. It'd be $640 cash or surety on each of the 2 charges, camping and possession of drug paraphernalia. You'll be released on your own recognizance. On the remaining charge, anticipating no charges filed at this time. And sir, there are conditions of release, 2 of them. The first is to stay away from the Wahoos on Horizon Ridge Parkway in the city of Henderson. And the second is to have no further arrests or citations. So we will see you back for your arraignment on Monday, sir.
All right.
October 6th, 3 p.m., Department 2. City versus Sebastian Nungari, 55 CR 6969 6968.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia charges. Before we proceed with the bail hearing, I will note for the record that prior to the hearing, I did review the declaration of arrest for probable cause purposes. I do find there was probable cause for the trespass and possession of drug paraphernalia charges. And we'll proceed now with the bail hearing and begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So defendant is a 10 on the NPR, but like one of the earlier cases, it says 0 on the first page for pretrial pending case. But then on the second page, it references 25 CR 075090 as an outstanding case. Defendant has a history of FTAs on with the most recent being an arrest for FTA on July 28th of 2025. And before that, it looks like FTA arrests 2 in 2022, 1 in 2020, 3 in 2019, 1 in 2018, 1 in 2017, and then 2 in 2016. So a pretty consistent history of FTAs. What I would note is defendants. So the pending case looks like it's in Las Vegas Justice Court. It is still pending arraignment. There was a citation that was submitted. I guess the date of offense was August 22nd of 2025, and it's pending arraignment in November. And that's for unlawful camping. So primarily, and then defendant also has convictions in 2024 for trespass, 2023 for concealed carry weapon misdemeanor, 2022 for lodging without permission, and then 2019 for trespass. So based on his somewhat of a history of similar charges, but then a long history of FTAs and the other outstanding case that he was cited for pending arraignment, I'm going to ask for standard cash on each count, no further arrest or citations, abstaining based on the drug paraphernalia, and then stay away order from the Slam Academy at 1095 Fielders Street, Fielders.
Thank you. Ms. Purser.
Yes, Your Honor. So I did speak with him. He is currently applying for disability. and he is indigent. So we're asking for a bail to be based upon his lack of funds, that he may have the ability to bail out if he can.
Thank you. All right, sir, given your history, particularly the pretrial case, as well as your history for failures to appear, I am finding, sir, that there is clear and convincing evidence that bail is the least restrictive means both to secure your presence at future court dates as well as for the safety of the community. And so I am requiring bail. It is $640 cash only on each of the charges with the conditions of release that were requested. So there are 3 of them. The first is to abstain, meaning no use or possession of alcohol and all controlled substances. That does include marijuana unless you have a valid medical marijuana card. The second is to stay away from the Slam Academy at the address noted for the record. And the third is to have no further arrests or citations. Yes, sir, we will see you for your arraignment on Monday, okay?
Okay.
October 6th, 1:30, Department 1. City versus Tracy Pond, 25 CR 6933, 934, 935.
He's in a wheelchair, Your Honor?
I'm right here.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your charges of failing to register by a convicted person, drinking an alcoholic beverage in a public place, and camping. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this defendant has had quite a long history of contact with law enforcement. He's got 71 entries in scope, 125 total charges. Looks like he's registered for 2 felonies. They are older, 1995, 2 counts of burglary. He has entries from cycles from Idaho spanning through 2007, so those are also older. However, he does have a recent history of failing to appear. He has 2 arrests for failing to appear in 2024. 1 in 2023, 3 in 2022, and then 1 in 2021. He has a 10 on the NPR, so it's high risk. And then of his multiple entries in scope, the relevant recent ones, 2023, he was arrested for drinking in public. And then in 2022, he's arrested for ex-felon failing to register. So relatively recent arrests for similar charges. Based on that, Judge, what I'm going to ask is for standard cash on at least one of them, and then we can do standard bondable on the rest, as well as no further arrest citations, and then abstaining.
Ms. Burson.
Yes, Your Honor. So there is an update in that he's receiving disability, so that would bring his score down to a 9. But I was also indigent, so asking for a reasonable bail to be set.
Thank you. Right, and sir, given your pretrial risk assessment score and most particularly the history of failures to appear, I am finding that there is clear and convincing evidence, sir, that bail is the least restrictive means to secure your presence at future court dates as well as for the safety of the community. So I will require bail, and it will be $640 on each of the charges. The camping charge, that will be cash only. The other 2 charges will be cash or bond. And there are conditions of release, 2 of them, sir. The first is to abstain, meaning no use or possession of alcohol and all controlled substances, which includes marijuana unless you have a valid medical marijuana card. And the second is to have no further arrests or citations. And Mr. Pond, we will see you back for your arraignment on Monday, sir.
Thank you.
Monday, October 6th, 1:30, Department 1. City versus Aotoa, Sualua, 25 CR 6945.
Your Honor, refused to come to the bail hearing today, so we're asking to continue this with his arraignment on Monday.
Thank you, and I do find his absence is good cause to continue the bail hearing to Monday.
October 6th, 1:30, Department 3. City versus Alfonso Tolbert, 25 CR 6961.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the time set for the bail hearing on your trespass charge. We're going to begin first with arguments from the prosecution. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is a trespass. Defendant was previously trespassed from that location, according to the clerk, because he had gotten in her face and called her, as she described it, every name in the book. That apparently is what happened at the previous incident when he was trespassed, not at this incident. However, in this incident, he told officers that he had been told that the trespass was a mistake, which certainly doesn't appear to be true. Defendant has a prior FTA in 2018 arrest. He's also, well, I guess technically it looks like 6-time registered felon. He's got 3 counts of robbery from 85 as well as a marijuana charge. But in 1992, robbery with a firearm. And then it's a little unclear, but it's either the way it's entered, it's either 2011 or 2014 possession of firearm by ex-felon. And then he actually has 2 additional felonies on top of that from California in, I believe, 2022, possession of firearm by ex-felon, as well as unlawful possession of ammo, essentially. Defendant is a 9 on the NPR. He has 2 pending HMC cases, actually. He's set for trial, it looks like, on October 29th and December 17th on those 2 cases. They're referenced by the calendar, but one of them is essentially a DUI case with the attendance charges, and then there's a drive-in on revoked driver's license for DUI with, I believe, 1 additional charge on that, if I recall correctly. But in any event, defendant also has 19 cycles out of California through 2022. But in any event, Judge, I think that all of these factors give the city justified concern. We're going to ask for a little bit higher bail than usual on this. We're going to ask for $1140 cash only, and then no further citations, plus a stay-away order from the Circle K, and that's at 1381 West Warm Springs.
Thank you. Ms. Purser.
So, Your Honor, there's an update on our end also that he is employed. He's a Teamster number 631. He's also a caregiver to his parents. And he also has a residence. He resides at 2368 Teton Ranch. He's been there 3 years, so that should bring that assessment down. He asking for a reasonable bail to be set at this time.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Tolbert. A lot of history was mentioned there. A lot of it was very old, and much of that I'm not going to give much consideration today, but there are things that in history much more recently that are significantly concerning. The fact that you are scheduled for trial in this court on multiple charges. Looks like actually 2 separate December trial and an October 29th trial. The 2022 charge out of California, as well as the failure to appear, are all very concerning under the circumstances. And so, sir, I am finding that there is clear and convincing evidence that bail is the least restrictive means to secure your presence at future court dates, as well as for the safety of the community. And so I will require bail. It will be $640 cash only. And there are conditions of release. 1, to stay away from the Circle K on Warm Springs Road in the city of Henderson, and 2, to have no further arrests or citations. And sir, we will see you back for your arraignment on this charge on Monday, okay?
Thank you.
Monday, October 6th, 1:30, Department 3. That's everything. This concludes pretrial proceedings.
Thank you.
Thank you, counselors.
Thank you.
Officer.
Have a good weekend.
Take care, everyone. Bye, Ms. Purser. Bye, Ms.